Hello everyone, and welcome to the third part of our video series where I share classical music selections which I hope will help new listeners discover wonderful classical music works and also help you along the path to discovering classical music. If you're already a classical music lover, then I hope you find many hidden gems within our selections. So let's get started. Our first album for today is called Deutsche Baroque Lieder. This means German Baroque song, and indeed it's a lovely album of songs from the Baroque era in German, and they are sung by the wonderful countertenor Andreas Scholl. Now, if you don't listen to classical music that often, if you watch the James Bond movie Spectre, then you heard Andreas Scholl because he sung Nisi Dominus by Vivaldi during a very beautiful scene with Monica Bellucci. So this album here is absolutely gorgeous. It's one of my favorite albums, and I have quite a few of Andreas Scholl. It has a beautiful booklet inside where they speak about the history of German Baroque Lieder, and you have also the lyrics and in translation as well in English, so you can understand and appreciate the poetry within the songs. So what can I tell you? Andreas Scholl has one of the most ethereal and beautiful voices you'll ever hear. These songs are absolutely gorgeous. The poetry is beautiful, so I would highly recommend this. So this is from the Baroque era, which is 1600 to 1750, and this is Deutsche Baroque Lieder, and it was released on Harmonia Mundi. It was actually released twice. The first release was in 1995, and then you have another reissue in 2010. So Deutsche Baroque Lieder with the ever wonderful Andreas Scholl. Our next album features two composers from the Romantic era. The Romantic era of classical music was from 1830 to 1900, and we have the wonderful Jean Sibelius. Jean Sibelius was a Finnish composer, and he's considered to be one of the most important composers to come from Finland because he helped them during the time they were trying to etch out a national identity, and he composed the piece Finlandia, which was very crucial during that time. Finland eventually got independence in 1917. Jean Sibelius was born in 1865 and passed away in 1957. So on here we have Karelia Suite Opus 11 and The Swan of Tunella. And then we have here also featured Edvard Grieg. Now Edvard Grieg is from Norway, and he's one of Norway's most famous composers. His most loved opera would be Peer Gynt, and even if you don't listen to classical music that much, I promise you that you've likely heard In the Hall of the Mountain King, which is a piece that features in Peer Gynt. I can't start humming it now. I'm tempted to do so. For licensing issues, I can't share an actual clip, but if you hear it, you'll see that you know it already. On here we have the Holberg Suite, Opus 40, and two lyric pieces. The music here was performed by the Academy of St. Martin in the Field, and the conductor was the wonderful Sir Neville Mariner. This album was released on Philips in 1985, and I would highly recommend it as a way to get familiar with Jean Sibelius and Edvard Grieg. Our third album selection is called Cinema's Classic Romances. This is absolutely wonderful because it features contemporary and modern era composers. And although it's called Cinema's Classic Romances, I wouldn't call Hamlet a romantic piece of literature or film, but it's on here. We actually have two soundtracks from various Hamlet films, and it features wonderful composers. So you have Patrick Doyle, who scored a lot of Shakespeare movies. You have Ennio Morricone. You have Gabriel Yared on The English Patient, if you remember the movie The English Patient, and the wonderful score. You have The Last of the Mohicans, that was by Trevor Jones. And you have Carl Davis, who scored Pride and Prejudice, and many other wonderful modern and contemporary era composers. So if you love cinema and you want to hear work by living composers, or mostly living composers, then this would definitely be an album to listen to. Okay, we're on to our fourth album for today, and I feel there should be a little bit of a drum roll before I introduce this one. So here we go, me on the table. And this is Carlos Kleiber conducting the Vienna Philharmonic on Beethoven's 5th and 7th symphonies. So I first came across this when I was driving in my car one day on the way home. Of course, later on I came to find out that it's considered to be one of the greatest recordings of Beethoven's 5th symphony, but I didn't know it at the time. I was just driving home and heard this thrilling, electrifying performance of Beethoven's 5th symphony. If you haven't heard this particular version of Beethoven's 5th symphony, then I highly recommend you do. And this leads us to our legendary artist for today. And our legendary artist for today is the conductor Carlos Kleiber. Carlos Kleiber was born in Berlin, Germany. His father was Erich Kleiber, a noted conductor at the time, and he moved the family from Germany to Argentina due to the Nazi regime coming into power. So Carlos Kleiber actually studied law, physics, and chemistry in school because his father hadn't wanted him to pursue music, but eventually the pull of music was too strong and he left and went on to be a conductor. In the early days, he was Kapellmeister at various orchestra houses, but then he left and began to travel and be guest conductors for different orchestras. And then he made a seminal recording for Deutsche Grammophon, and that led to more recordings with them. Though he didn't do a lot of recordings in general, and he turned down a lot of positions. Even though he didn't make as much work as people would have wanted him to make, he is considered to be one of the greatest conductors of the 20th century. And when you listen to this album and his other work, you will hear why. Now for our 5th album selection, we go back to Beethoven again. This time it's Beethoven's Sonatas on an album featuring Christopher Glynn, who is our living artist to know for today. He's playing alongside Rachel Podger, who is a well-recognized, internationally renowned violinist. And Christopher Glynn is a pianist, accompanist, and the artistic director of a festival known as the Rydell Festival. So on this wonderful recording, we have Beethoven's Sonata No. 1 in D major, opus 12, Sonata in F major, opus 24, and Sonata in G major, opus 96. So here you get to hear a different side of Beethoven. Here you have his romantic, reflective, and also there are some humorous bits in some of the sonatas. I love the recording because it sounds very intimate. It almost sounds as if you're in a salon or the musicians are playing in your home. There are many things that make Christopher Glynn a living artist to know. So in addition to being the artistic director of the Rydell Festival since 2010, he is a wonderful accompanist on the piano. As an accompanist, he is remarkable. He is very intelligent. He doesn't overshadow his vocalist. At the same time, he's not in the background. He brings out the best in the work and the best in the vocalist. He's done quite a few recordings with Claire Booth on Avi Records. He's done work with Nicky Spence recently, Roderick Williams. He does a lot of lieder. I will share that I was recently fortunate enough to collaborate with Christopher Glynn on an album featuring 2 different vocalists and 2 different composers called Songs for Our Times. And his work as an accompanist was just absolutely brilliant. It shines through all the time on all his recordings, and you can check him out for yourself. Our 6th selection for today and our final album for today falls within our traditional classical music. So this is when I feature classical music from parts of the world outside of the Western world. And today we go to Pakistan, and we are featuring Ustad Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. So Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan is one of the most renowned Qawwali singers that ever was. Qawwali is basically the devotional music of the Sufi religion. And initially, it was played and sung only in Sufi shrines, but that changed with Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. In 1985, he became more prominent on the international stage when he featured at the World Music and Dance Festival. And he worked alongside Peter Gabriel, on a movie actually before then, and then Peter Gabriel had him come to the festival. From that point on, Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan became internationally renowned. He toured and performed in over 40 countries, and he's recognized as being the person who puts Qawwali music on the international stage. I actually got to learn about Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan through Jeff Buckley, because Jeff Buckley had covered Ye Jo Halka Halka on one of his album recordings. So we come to the end for today. I hope you enjoyed my selections. If you've already heard some of these selections, please leave a comment in the comment section. If you haven't and you do get introduced to them, please let me know and let others know what you feel about them in the comment section. Please subscribe to my channel, and until our next video, stay well.